I'm sitting here, talking to myself like some lunatic, because there's no one else around to listen. My wife cheated on me. That's how I ended up divorced. It's been a year now, no kids, no family nearby. Just me, and the silence that creeps into every corner of my apartment. And yet, here I am, obsessed with someone else's wife. I'm not even sure what it is exactly. Love? Lust? Maybe it's just revenge, wrapped up in a woman's body. I don't know her well. Not yet. But I see her often. We work in the same building, and we usually cross paths around lunch. I've been piecing together details about her like some amateur detective. I'm going to have her. That's the plan. The problem is, what the hell do I do after that? It's sick. I know. Wanting someone so much that I'd actually consider forcing her. Jesus. I hate even thinking that, but I do. That's how far gone I am. She's probably around 30. Petite, tight figure. She has this way of wearing clothes that almost dares you to look. No bra, miniskirts. Pants so tight there's never a single crease, which tells me either she wears a thong or nothing at all. That alone drives me crazy. And the guy she's married to? A damn loser, no kids. She flirts all the time, probably out of boredom. Her husband clearly doesn't know what he has. He deserves to lose her. Especially since he's the one who ruined my marriage. He slept with my wife. Now, I'll return the favor. I'll sleep with his. I'll possess her, make her mine, and maybe, in some twisted way, do her a favor. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I'm not right in the head. I admit it. I've been messed up ever since that day. I came home from work early, a day that plays like a slow-motion horror reel in my mind. I remember walking into the house, heading straight to the bedroom, not even noticing anything off. And there she was, my wife, naked, sprawled out on the floor at the foot of our bed, and he was on top of her, riding the high like he owned her soul. She saw me and screamed. That jackass kept going for another few seconds, thinking he'd done the job of his life, but I wasn't about to let it end that way. I lunged at him, grabbed him by the shoulders, and ripped him off her, threw him to the floor with enough force to knock the wind out of him. I started punching hard, relentless shots. My wife just stood there screaming like a banshee while I beat the crap out of her lover. He tried getting up once, and I dragged him through the damn house and chucked him naked right out the front door. His wallet and keys? I tossed those onto the lawn, but not his clothes. Let him drive away bloody and humiliated. He made it to his car, a mess of red and shame, and disappeared down the street. I never saw him again, not until fate brought him back into my life. After I shut the door, I walked back into the bedroom where my cheating wife was scrambling to put her clothes back on, tears running down her face. "Daniel, please," she cried. "This isn't what it looked like. Can we talk about this? We can work it out." I stared at her, cold. Not what it looked like? It looked like you were screwing that piece of trash in our bed. "Please, Daniel, let me explain. Number, no more lies. Just answer me. Did you sleep with him or not? It's not a hard question." She went quiet, trembling. "Since you can't answer," I said, grabbing my coat, "this conversation's over. I'm going out for dinner. You have 1 hour. Take whatever you want and get the hell out of my life. If you're still here when I get back, I swear to God, I'll beat the living crap out of you and toss your sorry ass out myself. 1 hour. That's it. Conversation over. Done." Then I walked out the door and into the night, leaving behind the wreckage of what used to be my life. I stayed away for 2 full hours, not because I had anywhere to be, but because I needed to give her time to disappear. You see, I'm not just a man of my word. I'm the kind of bastard who would follow through. I would have put her through the same hell I put her lover through, no hesitation, wife or not. When I came home, the house was silent. She was gone. Most of her things, too. The closet was half empty, drawers left open. And on the kitchen table, folded neatly like a death sentence, was a note. At first, I wasn't going to read it. I figured, what more was there to say? But curiosity got the better of me. My hands were trembling, half with rage, half with some disgusting hope I couldn't shake. I unfolded the paper. It was from Alina. Dear Daniel, I made a mistake. A really big one. Mark means nothing to me. He was an old friend from school. You knew I wasn't a virgin when we married. He was my first love. Running into him at the mall just brought everything back. It felt innocent at first. We caught up, flirted a little. I should have stopped it. I know that now. One thing led to another. I showed him around the house, and when we got to the bedroom, he kissed me. It felt like old times. And then, it happened. I didn't plan for it, Daniel. I swear I didn't. I hate myself for what I did. I miss you. I love you. Please, please take me back. I'll be a better wife. I'll never cheat again. I love you, always. Alina. That letter didn't soften me. It didn't make me want to forgive her. It made everything worse. Now the asshole had a name. Now the betrayal had a face. And with that, any love I might have still had for her evaporated. Gone. Just like her. Revenge was all that remained. And revenge doesn't come from a place of logic. It's a fire that burns whether you want it or not. The very next day, I called in sick to work. Not because I was sad I had shit to handle. First, I closed our joint bank accounts, moving every cent that had my name on it into new ones. Then I called all our credit cards and canceled them, keeping only the 2 that were strictly mine, just in case. I've never claimed to be easygoing. Hell, I'm a stubborn son of a bitch and proud of it. Then the phone rang. It was George, Alina's father. What's going on, Daniel? He asked, all soft and fatherly like I owed him an explanation. Alina said you two were having problems. I saw red. What the hell is wrong with you, George? You seriously didn't have the balls to ask your daughter what she did? He paused. Well, let me help you out, I said, voice icy. I walked into our bedroom and found your precious daughter getting railed by one of her high school boyfriends. In our bed. Silence. I threw her out, I continued. Told her to take whatever she wanted. But that's it. I'm not giving her another damn thing. If she wants to drag this into court and hang her dirty laundry in public, fine by me. Otherwise, do me a favor and stay the __ out of my life. And I hung up. 2 days later, the phone rang again. This time it was Nadia, Alina's younger sister. I'd always liked Nadia. She was smarter, a little tougher, and, if I'm being honest, more attractive than her sister. Daniel, she said, can we talk for a minute? Go ahead, I replied, already bracing for some emotional sob story. She just wanted me to tell you how sorry she is. Stop, I cut in, voice sharp. I don't give a damn how sorry she is. That ship sailed the second she decided to screw Mark in our bed. Is there anything else? Because if you say her name one more time, I'm hanging up. There was a pause on the line. I just wanted to know if she left any personal stuff behind at the house. I told her straight. Your sister had 1 hour to take whatever she wanted. If she left something behind, that's on her. Too damn bad. Nadia mentioned a few specific things, some jewelry, a box of letters, a couple of old photo albums, and I could feel my temper starting to simmer again. The sound of her voice alone, pleading on Alina's behalf, brought everything back. So I snapped. Nadia, I said, voice low and biting. Tell you what, you come over here, get on my bed, and give yourself to me. Do that, and I'll let you take whatever you want for your precious sister. She went dead silent for a second. Then she exploded. You pathetic son of a __. How dare you talk to me like that? I swear I'll tell my husband and let him deal with you. I leaned back in my chair, smirk creeping onto my face. So, does that mean I don't have a shot at you then? Shame. I always thought you'd be great in bed. She screamed something unintelligible and hung up. About 20 minutes later, I heard a man's voice in the background of a call. I didn't even have to ask who it was. It was Alina. I could feel it. Nadia must have handed her the phone. All I heard was, Daniel, you son of a __. Click. I hung up right after. I called my lawyer the same day. Told him to finalize everything, no alimony, no property, no second chances. Just cut her out of my life. We'd rented the house. Each of us had our own cars. The only thing to handle was the bank accounts and savings, which I'd already taken care of. Alina never even tried to contest the divorce. Not really. She folded as soon as she realized I wasn't bluffing. I made one rule for myself: never speak to anyone in her family again except for Nadia. And even then, only if she played by my rules. God, I was a cold bastard. But you have to understand, I had no heart left to feel with. The thing was, Nadia, she was beautiful. More beautiful than Alina, honestly. Just younger, a little more polished, and probably starved for affection, judging by the soft-spoken doormat of a husband she'd married. The man was barely a presence, the kind of guy who'd rather run from confrontation than face it. I was packing up to move into a new apartment. The divorce was final. I called Nadia one last time and told her that if she still wanted to pick up her sister's things, now was the time. I was leaving. If she didn't come get them, I'd toss it all in the trash. She agreed to come that evening. I told her she could come alone or bring that hollow excuse of a husband with her, but under no circumstances should Alina show her face. I wouldn't be responsible for what I might do. When Nadia showed up, she was alone. I wasn't surprised. I asked about her husband, and she muttered something about him being busy. Yeah, right, he was scared, and she knew exactly what kind of night this was about to be. We walked into the bedroom. The boxes with Alina's crap were stacked in the corner. Nadia bent over to grab one, and I said, "Hold on, you haven't paid for that yet." She turned, eyes narrowed. "You've got to be kidding. I'm not sleeping with you." I laughed. "Not love, Nadia. Just sex. Raw. Honest. You've been thinking about this longer than you care to admit." Before she could react, I stepped forward, pulled her close. She pushed against my chest. Weakly, I grabbed her hips. "Come on, Nadia," I whispered. "You're not fooling anyone. It's just you and me here." Then I kissed her. My hand slid down her leg, under the hem of her skirt, creeping up the inside of her thighs. She wasn't wearing any underwear. She gasped but didn't stop me. She let her hands fall from my neck, and I pushed her gently but firmly onto the bed. "Tell me what you want, Nadia," I whispered, hovering over her. "Tell me you want me to take you." Her chest rose and fell rapidly, eyes wide and trembling, not with fear, with anticipation. "Come on, Nadia," I said again, more insistent this time. "Say it." She swallowed hard. "Please, take me, Daniel. Take possession of me. Just, please, put on protection. That's all I ask." I smirked, cold and cruel. "You're just like your sister, always available, always begging for it. But no protection tonight. You're gonna take all of me, just like she did." Her eyes flickered, confusion mixing with desire. And by then, she was already too far gone. I took her. I used her. And when it was over, I zipped up my pants like nothing happened, walked over to the stack of boxes, picked up a couple, and headed outside toward her car. My blood was still hot, but my heart, frozen. When I came back in, she was standing there, face flushed and eyes wet. "You son of a ___," she screamed. "You used me. How can you be so damn cold? So callous? What happened to you? Where's the Daniel I used to know, the funny guy?" "He's dead," I said flatly. "Your sister killed him. She did to me what I just did to your husband. I made him a cuckold, a weakling. You got exactly what you wanted, just like your sister did." I walked past her, shoving the last box into her arms. "Now take your crap and get the hell out of my house. And when you get home, don't forget to tell your husband you cheated on him. He's probably spineless enough to stay with you." Her face crumpled with rage and shame. "I can't believe you. I hope you rot." "Don't come back," I said, voice ice. "I don't want anything more to do with cheaters." She called me a bastard and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. And you know what? She was damn good in bed. But that wasn't the point. I didn't want her. I never did. I just wanted to hurt someone who shared blood with Alina. Sex doesn't replace love, it never could. I knew that. Still, revenge had carved a hole in my chest and filled it with something darker. Something that didn't care who got burned in the process. That's the thing with pain, it doesn't stay quiet. It grows. It festers. And mine had found a new focus. Her name was Eva. Petite, magnetic, sharp-eyed, the kind of woman who lit up a room without trying. I saw her nearly every day. Usually in the restaurant downstairs with her friends from the office. They laughed. They smiled. They looked like they belonged to a better world, a world I'd been locked out of. And every time I saw her, something inside me twisted. One of her lunch crew was Daria. I'd known her for years, casual workplace acquaintance. We weren't close, just familiar enough for those polite, "Hey, how are you?" greetings. Everyone in our small business district knew I'd gone through a messy divorce. Whispers like that travel fast, but no one knew the full story, especially not who Alina had cheated with. That was a detail I never shared. One day, Daria came in alone. I spotted her and waved her over. "Sit with me," I said. "It's just lunch. I'm tired of eating alone." She hesitated for a moment but finally nodded and sat down. I ordered her coffee, and we made small talk. She told me about her kids, her husband's recent promotion, her new kitchen remodel. I gave the usual polite answers when she asked how I was holding up post-divorce. Then, casually, I asked about the new girl in their office. "Oh, Eva?" she said. "Yeah, she and her husband Mark moved here about a year ago." The second she said the name Mark, something inside me snapped. "If she weren't married," I said, "I'd ask you out in a heartbeat." The second the words left my mouth, I regretted how forward they sounded. Eva went quiet. Her eyes dropped to her plate, and she slowly set her fork down. The atmosphere shifted, not tense, but charged. "Daniel," she said softly, "I'm married. I may not have the perfect marriage, but I could never cheat. That's not who I am. I can't." That word "can't" stuck in my brain like a thorn. I had to know more. I had to know why she said it like that, like something was already broken inside. "What's wrong with your marriage?" I asked, genuinely. She hesitated. Her fingers toyed with the edge of her napkin. Then, quietly, she said, "I think he's cheating on me, but I'm not sure, just a feeling. Things don't add up sometimes." I reached across the table and placed my hand over hers. She flinched slightly at first, then relaxed into it. I could feel her trembling. What kind of idiot cheats on a woman like this? A beautiful, kind-hearted, intelligent woman. And he's probably out screwing someone behind her back. And that was when the puzzle pieces clicked into place. Mark. Her husband. Mark. The same Mark who wrecked my marriage. It was all I could do to keep my rage in check, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I leaned forward and said, "Eva, there's something I need to tell you, but I can't do it here. Not in public. I need you to trust me just enough to meet me somewhere private. I promise, I won't try anything. I need to talk to you alone." Her eyes darted around the cafe, panic creeping in. "Daniel, I can't go to your apartment. What would people think? What would he think? I don't know you well enough for that." And that hurt not because she was wrong, but because for a second I forgot how careful people like her have to be. People who still believe in right and wrong. But I didn't give up. "Then let's meet somewhere neutral," I said. "Right after work. We'll grab dinner. Public place. Just hear me out. That's all I ask." She paused again, then gave me a cautious smile. "You're offering dinner? Must be serious if you're willing to pay." We both laughed, but underneath mine was a tremor of fear, because I had no idea how she'd react to what I was about to tell her. I had to figure out how to say it, how to drop the bomb without blowing up everything between us. How do you tell a woman you're falling for that you plan to use her to destroy her husband? That her husband was the same man you caught inside your wife? That you'd plotted to ruin her and somehow ended up falling in love with her instead? Because that's where I was now, falling fast and hard for a woman I should have hated. I saw Eva almost every day. Sometimes she was with her office friends. Other times, she passed by alone. And always, she smiled at me. It was the kind of smile that broke through whatever walls I built around myself. A smile that reminded me what it was like to feel human again. One day, as we crossed paths near the elevator, I casually mentioned that I'd be shifting my lunch break starting it an hour later, so we probably wouldn't see each other around anymore. I didn't expect her to say anything. I didn't even look back. But the very next day, she changed her schedule, came in an hour late, alone, and sat down right across from me with that same sweet, nervous smile. "Mind if I join you?" she asked. "Please," I said, heart racing. "It wouldn't be lunch without you." From that day on, we ate together almost every afternoon, talking, laughing, slowly peeling back each other's lives. I told myself it was still about revenge. But deep down, I knew better. I didn't just want to ruin Mark's life anymore. I wanted Eva, and that terrified me more than anything. I can't help it. That's just what I became. Eva looked at me, her lips slightly parted, her eyes swimming with emotion. I knew I was crossing a line. Hell, I'd already leaped across it and set the damn bridge on fire, but I couldn't stop myself. She took a shaky breath. "Daniel, please don't say this. I'm married. You don't understand what you're doing to me." "I do," I said. "I understand it better than you think. I know what this looks like. I know I shouldn't say any of it, but I have to." She stared at me, her fingers curling around the edge of the table like she was trying to ground herself. "Eva, I didn't want this to happen. I didn't plan for it. I swear. But here we are, and I'm falling for you. I know you're married, and I know you're scared, but so am I. You need to know who I am. The whole truth." She opened her mouth to protest again, but I held up my hand. "Just listen, please." She nodded slowly. "My wife cheated on me. I walked in on it. In our own bedroom. The guy she was with. I didn't recognize him right away. Only saw him for a few seconds before I beat the hell out of him and tossed him into the street naked. Didn't know his name. Didn't want to. Not at first. But then, over time, I found out." She was quiet now, her breathing shallow. "I spent months fantasizing about revenge," I said. "I swore I'd find the guy's wife and do the same to him. Take her. Break her. Make him feel what I felt. That was the plan. It kept me going when nothing else did. I didn't care who she was just a means to an end." I looked her in the eyes. "And then, it turned out to be you." Her lips parted, but no sound came out. "You, Eva. The woman I see every day. The one who made me smile for the first time in a year. The one I never meant to fall for. And now I don't know what to do because I still want revenge, God. Do I? But I can't do it to you." Tears welled in her eyes. "My husband," she whispered. "You're saying Mark was the one?" I nodded, slowly. The moment stretched out between us like an invisible thread about to snap. "I was going to destroy your life," I said, my voice raw. "And now I can't even imagine hurting you." She covered her mouth with both hands, gasping like she was trying to keep from sobbing out loud. Then, suddenly, she stood. "Please, don't touch me right now," she said, backing away. "I need to think." I nodded. "Of course, take all the time you need." She looked like a woman who had just watched the ground vanish beneath her feet. "I can't believe this. It's so much. Too much." "I know. I didn't want to drop this on you all at once, but I couldn't keep lying to you. I couldn't keep pretending." "I trusted you," she said, barely above a whisper. "And you still can," I said quickly. "I know I've done terrible things, thought even worse, but I won't hurt you, I swear." She turned her face away, wiping her eyes. "I need to go," she whispered. I need to go." She grabbed her purse and walked away, not looking back. And as I sat there in that quiet restaurant, surrounded by strangers laughing and clinking glasses, I realized I had finally done it. I'd taken my shot. and I might have just lost the only good thing I had left. Sure, I know how I feel about anything anymore, Eva whispered, her voice trembling. About you, about Mark, about myself. I could see the war raging behind her eyes, love, betrayal, confusion, fear, and it broke something in me. I walk around with this permanent chip on my shoulder, I told her. My wife and her lover put it there and left it for me to carry. I've been dragging it around ever since. Revenge was the only thing that made me feel alive after everything. I had a plan, Eva, a sick, twisted plan. She sat there frozen, listening. I was going to find the wife of the man who ruined my marriage and take her own her in front of him. That bastard was married too. I was going to look him in the eyes and destroy him the way he destroyed me. Her hands shook slightly. Daniel, please. You don't need to tell me this. It's too personal. I can hear it in your voice. It's tearing you up. No, I said firmly. Let me finish. I leaned forward, locking eyes with her. The woman I was going to destroy was you. I didn't know it at first, but when I did, when I finally figured it out, everything changed. I couldn't go through with it. I fell in love with you, Eva, and now I'm a goddamn mess. She covered her face with her hands, breathing heavily. The weight of my words hit her like a punch to the gut. Oh my God, she whispered. That's not possible. That can't be true, Mark. My husband? He's the one? Yes, I said. And the woman I was going to use to hurt him turned out to be the one woman I never wanted to hurt. Tears began rolling down her cheeks. Were you really going to rape me? She asked through sobs, her voice barely audible. To get back at him? Her pain sliced through me. No, I said quickly, desperately. That was the plan before I knew you, before I saw you. Once I got to know who you were, that all stopped. I couldn't do it. You're not some pawn. You're not. Collateral damage. You're Eva. And I fell hard. She looked like she wanted to crawl out of her own skin. Please, don't touch me, she said as I reached toward her. I need space. I need to think. I dropped my hand. A year ago, I said gently, I walked into my bedroom and caught my wife with a man. I didn't even get his name until later. All I knew was his face and the rage I felt. I beat the hell out of him and threw him out naked. That's how this started. From my jacket pocket, I pulled out the letter Alina had left for me. I handed it to Eva. She took it with shaking hands and began to read. She cried as she took it in, the truth clawing at her with every line. I've been watching you for 6 months, I said. Every day, waiting for a chance to say hello. You didn't know it, but you were the only light in my life. I didn't even know your name at first. Then Daria told me you were married, and it crushed me. Still, I kept watching, wanting, hoping. And then that day, when your husband walked in to meet you for lunch, I recognized him instantly. Mark, the same man. She folded the letter and stared at it for a long time. If you were anyone else, I said, I would have done it. I would have taken you right there in front of him, just for revenge. More tears. She sat silent, hands folded, like she was praying. But I didn't, I said, because I fell in love with you, Eva. And now I don't know what to do. I want to hurt him, not you. I want to make love to you, not use you. I haven't touched a woman in over a year. My life has been nothing but hate and pain. And now you're this impossible hope I didn't think I deserved. I paused, then added quietly, I think Mark's back with Alina. They were childhood sweethearts. She's divorced now. It would make sense. She blinked, slowly, as if trying to wake up from a nightmare. How do you feel about me, Eva? I asked. I need to know, because whatever your answer is, I promise I won't hurt you. I need the truth. She stared at me, lips trembling. I don't know. I just don't know. Everything's spinning. I'm a bastard, I said flatly. I know it. Vindictive. Cold. I've been living like a ghost. But there's another version of me, a better man. one who's been buried under all this anger. I think you're the one who could bring him back. I leaned in, voice soft and steady. Help me, Eva. Help me take revenge on the man who betrayed both of us. And after that, if you still want to, maybe we can build something real, something good. She clutched the letter to her chest. My head is full of questions, she whispered. Too many. I don't have answers right now, Daniel. I don't even know how I feel about anything. And I nodded. Because deep down, I understood. This was just the beginning. Or anything that might explain why I felt so uneasy for months, Eva said, stepping into my apartment, her voice tight but steady. I just needed time to process everything you told me, Daniel. I'm not pushing you away. I'm not playing games. I just needed to breathe. I nodded, silently grateful she was even here. I know you're hurting, she continued. I can see it. And maybe I want to help you. But I don't know how yet. I don't know how I feel about you, about Mark, about myself. My whole world feels upside down. I get it, I said quietly. And I'm sorry if I pushed too hard. You had a right to know the truth, but I could have handled it better. After our tense dinner the night before, I'd walked her to her car, unsure if I'd ever see her again. When she hugged me before driving off, it was the smallest sliver of hope. I had a tiny spark that maybe, just maybe, I hadn't completely screwed everything up. But all day today, that hope had flickered. I'd gone to the restaurant, the one where we always met for lunch. I waited and waited. She never came. My mind spiraled. Did she tell Mark everything? Did he hurt her? Did she run? Did she hate me? By the time I got home from work, I was a wreck. I'd barely focused on anything all day. Every thought was about her. And then the phone rang. Daniel, she'd said, her voice trembling. I need to see you. I know I said I shouldn't come, but everything's changed. Can I come over tonight? Eva, God, I'd said, already standing from the couch, grabbing my keys, though I wasn't going anywhere. I was so worried. I didn't see you at lunch. If that bastard did anything to hurt you, I swear I'll... No, she cut in gently. Just, please, let me in. I'm outside. When I opened the door, there she was standing on my porch with a faint smile and tired eyes. I followed you home after our dinner, she admitted. I had to know if you were serious or just full of it. And when you answered the phone like that tonight, I knew. You weren't lying to me. I hugged her so tight it nearly hurt. Why didn't you come to lunch today? I asked once she stepped inside. I spent all last night trying to make sense of everything, she said, sitting on the edge of my couch. Mark came home late again. Same excuse, working late. I tried to be warm, to just hold him. But he shut me down like I was a stranger. Said he was tired and went to bed. She scoffed bitterly. What kind of man turns down his wife when she's literally reaching for him? I started wondering if he even sees me anymore, or if it's always someone else in his head. I sat down beside her, silent. So, she continued, her voice getting steadier. This morning, after he left for work, I started digging. Emails, file folders, hidden browser windows. I work in IT, Daniel. I know how to find things when they've been covered up. She pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots, names, dates, messages. Thanks to what you told me, she said, I knew exactly what to look for. What did you find? I asked, bracing myself. Her jaw tightened. Plenty. I found hidden email chains, files that were marked private. Most of them were harmless at first, casual reconnections, a few smiles, the usual. But then it escalated. To Rachel? I asked. Eva nodded. Alina. She corrected me, calling her by her real name for the first time. That woman. It's her. She took a shaky breath. She wasn't just some random fling. They knew each other before. Their emails go back months. And based on the dates, they started talking again right before the affair that wrecked your marriage. My chest tightened. So, they'd been planning this? They met at some reunion, she said. 16 months ago. I didn't even think twice when Mark told me about it. Said it would be boring. told me not to come. And the same weekend, you were out of town too, right? I nodded slowly. I had a family trip, my mother's birthday. Eva's expression darkened, and Alina said she wanted to see her old friends. That was the start. Everything spiraled from there. She leaned forward, handing me more papers and screenshots. These are phone records too. I called the carrier. He's been calling her nearly every day for months, sometimes twice a day. My blood boiled. I should have buried him the first time I saw him naked on my floor. I thought the same thing, she said coldly. Except about me, about who I became. I feel used, like I've been sharing my home with a stranger, sleeping next to a lie. She paused, looked at me with wet eyes. But you told me the truth. Ugly as it was, you showed me everything, even when you didn't have to. That matters to me, Daniel. My voice caught. Eva. She held up a hand. Don't. Not yet. I'm not ready for anything romantic right now. I care about you, I really do. But I need time. If I slept with you now, I'd be no better than him or her. I nodded, swallowing hard. I understand. She smiled faintly. But I do want your help. I want to make that bastard pay. I exhaled, something inside me settling for the first time in days. Then let's start, I said. Let's get your revenge. Stop, madman. I'll kiss you, Eva said with a trembling laugh, just as I was about to turn and slam my fist into the wall. She stood up, walked over, and threw her arms around me. Her lips found mine, soft and hesitant at first, like we were both unsure of where this would go. But after a second, something in both of us gave way. Our mouths pressed together with more urgency, our breath catching, our pain momentarily forgotten in that fragile, imperfect kiss. When we finally broke apart, she looked up at me with that mix of sarcasm and sincerity I'd already started falling for. That's all you get for now, she said, eyes narrowed but smiling. Now, let's get back to work. I nodded, still feeling the aftershock of her kiss. She pulled out her tablet and sat down on my couch like she owned the place. All right, here's what I've pieced together. Thanks to the stuff you told me, I had the right names, dates, even a possible motive. And once I started digging, it didn't take long. She showed me folders of screenshots, saved chats, and backup email files. Mark told me he was transferred here, remember? Not exactly. He asked for this move, claimed it was for career growth, but I now know it was because he wanted to come back to his old hometown. I sat down beside her. You're kidding. Nope, she said. This was premeditated. At the time, I thought it was nostalgia. He said he missed the city, wanted to reconnect with his roots. I believed him. She paused, looked over at me. 16 months ago, he went to a high school reunion. Did Alina go to hers around the same time? I blinked. Yeah, she said she was going to reconnect with old friends. I had a family trip that weekend, my mom's birthday. I asked her to come with me. She said she wanted to see her classmates. Didn't think much of it. Eva's jaw clenched. Same with me. He said those things are boring, that I'd be wasting a night dressing up. I let him go alone. She pulled up another email thread. These aren't romantic, but you can feel it, the anticipation. They were planning to meet. And here, she pointed to the screen, are 2 emails from shortly after. This was 2 weeks before you caught them in bed. My stomach tightened. So they'd been seeing each other for 4 months before I walked in on them, I muttered. Eva nodded. At least 4 months, possibly longer. I rubbed my face with both hands. She told me it just happened. One-time mistake. My ass. Eva gave me a bitter smile. Mark said the same thing. Swore it was a one-time slip, just something that got out of hand. I laughed darkly. Amazing how cheaters all read from the same damn script. She sighed, leaned back. I thought I could deal with the idea of him being with someone else once. But this? It's different. It's layered. It's deceptive. It was a choice. Repeated. Protected. Hidden. I turned to her, watching the flicker of pain in her face. And now? Now, she said, locking eyes with me. I'm not angry at you, Daniel. I'm angry at them, and I want to do something about it. You're sure? She nodded. More than ever. There was a silence between us for a moment. I could feel the tension again, but not the kind that made you want to scream, the kind that told you the tide was finally shifting. I'm not going to lie, I said. This all makes me want to throw a chair through a window. Eva smiled slightly. How about, instead of a chair, we throw a plan at them? I grinned. I like that, I said. But before we plan anything. What? I really need another kiss, just to keep me from breaking furniture. She laughed, then leaned in again. Fine, but no furniture damage allowed. And just like that, for a brief, fleeting moment, revenge didn't feel so ugly. It felt like justice. I will kiss you, Eva blurted, half laughing, half breathless. Then she stood, crossed the room in 2 quick steps, and threw her arms around me. Her lips touched mine soft, warm, searching. A few gentle seconds that felt like something healing. When she pulled back, I looked into her eyes, then leaned in again. Slower, deeper, more certain. She let it happen. When our lips finally parted a second time, she whispered with a sly grin, "That's enough, Tiger. I'm only human too." We sat back down on the couch, still slightly breathless. I thanked her quietly. She tilted her head and said, "It pleases me, and I do mean pleasure." We both laughed, the tension easing just a bit. We knew what we were thinking, and for the first time in a while, it didn't feel heavy. It felt like relief. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. All right, let's get back to the mission. I can't hang around here all night. She handed me copies of her husband's phone records, a full year's worth. See this number? She pointed. He's been calling it almost every day. I narrowed my eyes at the digits. Who's it registered to? Rachel Miller, she said. Your wife's maiden name. I blinked. I didn't even know she took it back, or that she had a second phone. Neither did I, Eva said. But according to the timeline, she got that phone about a month before your little confrontation with Mark. She gave me a dark smile. Which means she already had it when you caught them. That's how they hid everything so well. That's why she didn't push for more in the divorce. She knew if this came out, it'd ruin her. I sat there, the weight of it hitting me in waves. Eva placed her hand gently on mine. So now the question is, where do you stand in all of this, Daniel? I exhaled. For me, it's still about revenge. That hasn't changed. She nodded slowly. But I'm still married to him. So what do we do? It didn't escape her. Notice the way I said we instead of you. And she didn't correct me. I want to make him pay, she said, voice low and fierce. Not just financially, emotionally. I want him to regret ever laying eyes on Rachel. I want him to feel humiliated, small, just like he made me feel. Her eyes locked with mine. But I want to do it without becoming a cheater. I want to keep my dignity, and yours too. I nodded. You think you can keep up the act for a couple of weeks? Stay in the house without giving anything away? She shrugged. As long as I don't have to sleep with him, I'll be fine. I can cook a few dinners, fake a few smiles. If he keeps sneaking off to see his little girlfriend, I won't even have to pretend much. I smiled. Good. Because step 1 is going to require a little shopping. Eva raised an eyebrow. Shopping? You're going to use every joint credit card you two share, I said. Buy whatever you've ever wanted. Fill the closet, rack up charges, take cash advances. We'll move the money into a safe account, or better yet, I'll invest it. Right, she said slowly. You're a broker. Why don't you invest it for me? I hesitated. Only if you're sure. I don't want you to doubt my intentions. I'm not in this for your money. I care about you, Eva. I just want to help. I don't want anything from you, unless one day you decide you want to be with me. If that happens, then yeah, maybe it can be more than revenge. She stood, slipping her coat on. All right, credit cards it is. That's where we start. As she turned to leave, I asked quietly, "Will I get another kiss before you go?" She held up a hand. "Don't. Not yet. I'm not ready for anything romantic right now. I care about you, I really do. But I need time. If I slept with you now, I'd be no better than him or her." I nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand." She smiled faintly. "But I do want your help. I want to make that bastard pay." I exhaled, something inside me settling for the first time in days. "Then let's start," I said. "Let's get your revenge." "Stop, madman. I'll kiss you," Eva said with a trembling laugh, just as I was about to turn and slam my fist into the wall. She stood up, walked over, and threw her arms around me. Her lips found mine, soft and hesitant at first, like we were both unsure of where this would go. But after a second, something in both of us gave way. Our mouths pressed together with more urgency, our breath catching, our pain momentarily forgotten in that fragile, imperfect kiss. When we finally broke apart, she looked up at me with that mix of sarcasm and sincerity I'd already started falling for. "That's all you get for now," she said, eyes narrowed but smiling. "Now, let's get back to work." I nodded, still feeling the aftershock of her kiss. She pulled out her tablet and sat down on my couch like she owned the place. "All right, here's what I've pieced together. Thanks to the stuff you told me, I had the right names, dates, even a possible motive. And once I started digging, it didn't take long." She showed me folders of screenshots, saved chats, and backup email files. "Mark told me he was transferred here, remember?" "Not exactly. He asked for this move, claimed it was for career growth, but I now know it was because he wanted to come back to his old hometown." I sat down beside her. "You're kidding." "Nope," she said. "This was premeditated. At the time, I thought it was nostalgia. He said he missed the city, wanted to reconnect with his roots. I believed him." She paused, looked over at me. 16 months ago, he went to a high school reunion. Did Alina go to hers around the same time? I blinked. "Yeah. She said she was going to reconnect with old friends. I had a family trip that weekend, my mom's birthday. I asked her to come with me. She said she wanted to see her classmates. Didn't think much of it." Eva's jaw clenched. "Same with me. He said those things are boring, that I'd be wasting a night dressing up. I let him go alone." She pulled up another email thread. "These aren't romantic, but you can feel it, the anticipation. They were planning to meet. And here," she pointed to the screen, "are 2 emails from shortly after. This was 2 weeks before you caught them in bed." My stomach tightened. "So they'd been seeing each other for 4 months before I walked in on them," I muttered. Eva nodded. "At least 4 months, possibly longer." I rubbed my face with both hands. She told me it just happened. One-time mistake. My ass. Eva gave me a bitter smile. Mark said the same thing. Swore it was a one-time slip, just something that got out of hand. I laughed darkly. Amazing how cheaters all read from the same damn script. She sighed, leaned back. "I thought I could deal with the idea of him being with someone else once. But this? It's different. It's layered. It's deceptive. It was a choice. Repeated. Protected. Hidden." I turned to her, watching the flicker of pain in her face. "And now?" "Now," she said, locking eyes with me, "I'm not angry at you, Daniel. I'm angry at them, and I want to do something about it." "You're sure?" She nodded. "More than ever." There was a silence between us for a moment. I could feel the tension again, but not the kind that made you want to scream, the kind that told you the tide was finally shifting. "I'm not going to lie," I said. "This all makes me want to throw a chair through a window." Eva smiled slightly. "How about, instead of a chair, we throw a plan at them?" I grinned. "I like that," I said. "But before we plan anything..." "What?" "I really need another kiss, just to keep me from breaking furniture." She laughed, then leaned in again. "Fine, but no furniture damage allowed." And just like that, for a brief, fleeting moment, revenge didn't feel so ugly. It felt like justice. Are we really going to completely ruin their lives, Daniel? Eva asked, her voice a mix of fear, hope, and something darker, a thirst for justice. I looked at her and didn't hesitate. Yes. But let's rewind a bit. I knew exactly who to call. Big Serge, not just a client, but a legend in certain circles. 6'5", 300 pounds of pure intimidation, dressed like a bodyguard, talked like a preacher, and ran a very profitable business with several women under his protection. I never judged his lifestyle, not my job. He made money, I helped him grow it. We respected each other. Simple as that. I called him one night and laid out the whole situation. Told him I needed a favor, not something violent, but definitely strategic. When I finished explaining, he burst into a deep, echoing laugh. "Damn, man," Serge said. "You're a twisted son of a bitch. You know this is gonna cost you, right? Ain't no favors for free in this life." "I figured," I said. "Just make sure it's done right. You'll get a bonus." "You got yourself a deal," he said. "This sounds fun as hell." And just like that, the wheels were in motion. Later that evening, Eva came over so we could finalize the plan. We spread papers across the table, coordinated times, discussed everything like two partners in some morally gray spy movie. But I noticed she was quieter than usual. "You okay?" I asked. She looked up, biting her lip. "I'm just scared you might still be thinking about using me, publicly, for your revenge." My heart dropped. "Eva, no. I swear to you on everything I've got, I would never hurt or humiliate you. Not now. Not ever." She held my stare for a long moment, and then that smile came. The one that melted every bit of anger inside me. That playful, guarded, beautiful smirk. "I think I'm really falling in love with you," she said softly. "Just thought you should know." I didn't say anything right away, I was too stunned. But inside, I was already gone. We had limited time. I told her to take a couple days off, call in sick, vacation, say it's stress, whatever. We had maybe 48 hours to plan and execute everything, and it had to run like clockwork. "So," she asked the next morning, coffee in hand and eyes a little brighter, "what's the plan?" "First," I said, "stop asking so many damn questions." She rolled her eyes and smiled. Okay, fine. Just tell me what you need." "Next Wednesday," I said. "Mark and Alina have their regular meetup, right? Room 109? "Yep, same trashy motel. Booked until 10 p.m. 5-hour window like always." I chuckled. They really could save a lot of money. Mark's performance history doesn't exactly scream 5-hour marathon. Ava actually laughed. He could rent that room for 15 minutes and still have time for a nap. "Perfect," I said. "Tomorrow morning, I'm reserving the same room before they get there. I'll install remote video equipment, hidden cams, audio, the works." "Jesus," she whispered. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. And while I do that, you're going to meet with my lawyer, Ina Breen. She's the best in the damn state. Total bulldog. You'll write up the divorce decree airtight and brutal. All the terms spelled out. By Wednesday night, we'll put it in front of Mark and get his signature." "And what if he says no?" she asked, her confidence suddenly wobbling. "What if he refuses?" I leaned in and said it as calmly as I could. "He won't. The consequences will be persuasive." She stared at me, wide-eyed. "You're not going to tell me everything, are you?" "Do you want the full story now, or do you want to be surprised?" "Oh my God, Daniel," she groaned. "You're going to give me a heart attack. You're way too excited about this, and it's seriously rubbing off on me." She stood, came closer, placed her hand on my chest. "The only thing I want you touching right now is me. You're special to me, Daniel. I want this revenge just as badly as you do, but I also want you." My hands went to her waist, and I nodded slowly. "Then let's take it all. Revenge, justice, peace. And if we're lucky, Maybe a little happiness too. She searched my eyes. Just promise me this isn't only about revenge anymore. It's not, I whispered. Not anymore. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about making them pay. It was about finally reclaiming what they stole from us. Dignity, trust, love. We were going to ruin their lives. Together. I will kiss you, Eva blurted, half laughing, half breathless. Then she stood, crossed the room in 2 quick steps, and threw her arms around me. Her lips touched mine soft, warm, searching. A few gentle seconds that felt like something healing. When she pulled back, I looked into her eyes, then leaned in again. Slower, deeper, more certain. She let it happen. When our lips finally parted a second time, she whispered with a sly grin, "That's enough, Tiger. I'm only human too." We sat back down on the couch, still slightly breathless. I thanked her quietly. She tilted her head and said, "It pleases me, and I do mean pleasure." We both laughed, the tension easing just a bit. We knew what we were thinking, and for the first time in a while, it didn't feel heavy. It felt like relief. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. "All right, let's get back to the mission. I can't hang around here all night." She handed me copies of her husband's phone records, a full year's worth. "See this number?" she pointed. "He's been calling it almost every day." I narrowed my eyes at the digits. "Who's it registered to?" "Rachel Miller," she said. "Your wife's maiden name." I blinked. I didn't even know she took it back, or that she had a second phone. "Neither did I," Eva said. "But according to the timeline, she got that phone about a month before your little confrontation with Mark." She gave me a dark smile. "Which means she already had it when you caught them. That's how they hid everything so well. That's why she didn't push for more in the divorce. She knew if this came out, it'd ruin her." I sat there, the weight of it hitting me in waves. Eva placed her hand gently on mine. "So now the question is, where do you stand in all of this, Daniel?" I exhaled. "For me, it's still about revenge. That hasn't changed." She nodded slowly. "But I'm still married to him. So what do we do?" It didn't escape her. Notice the way I said we instead of you, and she didn't correct me. "I want to make him pay," she said, voice low and fierce. "Not just financially, emotionally. I want him to regret ever laying eyes on Rachel. I want him to feel humiliated, small, just like he made me feel." Her eyes locked with mine. "But I want to do it without becoming a cheater. I want to keep my dignity, and yours too." I nodded. "You think you can keep up the act for a couple of weeks? Stay in the house without giving anything away?" She shrugged. "As long as I don't have to sleep with him, I'll be fine. I can cook a few dinners, fake a few smiles. If he keeps sneaking off to see his little girlfriend, I won't even have to pretend much." I smiled. "Good. Because step 1 is going to require a little shopping." Eva raised an eyebrow. "Shopping?" "You're going to use every joint credit card you two share," I said. "Buy whatever you've ever wanted. Fill the closet, rack up charges, take cash advances. We'll move the money into a safe account, or better yet, I'll invest it." "Right," she said slowly. "You're a broker. Why don't you invest it for me?" I hesitated. "Only if you're sure. I don't want you to doubt my intentions. I'm not in this for your money. I care about you, Eva. I just want to help." "I don't want anything from you, unless one day you decide you want to be with me. If that happens, then yeah, maybe it can be more than revenge." She stood, slipping her coat on. "All right, credit cards it is. That's where we start." As she turned to leave, I asked quietly, "Will I get another kiss before you go? Think that got anyone's attention?" Then she kissed me again, deeper. People stared, whispered, watched. The waiter awkwardly cleared his throat, and I could barely keep a straight face. Eva just leaned back and whispered, "Now that's how you send a message." "Why, Mark? Why wasn't I enough for you?" Ava's voice trembled, but her rage cut through the air like a blade. She stood at the threshold of that dingy motel room, her eyes locked on her husband and Alina, both frozen in bed, covered only by thin, wrinkled sheets and layers of shame. "You're a lying, worthless piece of crap," she shouted, every syllable loaded with 5 years of betrayal, heartbreak, and humiliation. "You cheating bastard." Mark scrambled to pull on his pants, stammering nonsense. Alina looked like she wanted to melt into the floor. Let me back up. About 20 minutes earlier, everything had unfolded just as we planned. Serge, larger than life, and twice as scary, had knocked on the motel door at 5:10 p.m., right on schedule. Mark answered, confused but curious. Probably thought it was some kind of concierge service. "I was paid to bring 2 of my girls into this room for some stress relief," Serge said with a smirk. Mark blinked. "There must be some mistake." Serge leaned in. "Having trouble enjoying my ladies, Jim Nelson?" Mark hesitated, confused. "Yeah, but I wasn't expecting anyone else." Serge pushed the door open with ease and stepped inside, towering over him. "They were paid in advance to be here. This isn't a charity gig. They're not leaving until they earn their paycheck." The girls, Sally and Ivy, followed him in, grinning. They didn't need instructions. They were professionals. Both stunning, seductive, and, well, walking biohazards at the moment. Syphilis isn't romantic, but it made the stakes real. Mark looked nervous on camera, shifting on his feet, glancing at the door. But he still let them undress him. Maybe he thought it was some kinky surprise Alina had arranged. That's the story he'd tell himself later, anyway. I watched from the van, headset on, holding the remote switch for the cameras. Eva sat beside me, quiet. She didn't speak, didn't blink, just stared at the monitors like she was watching her life implode from a safe distance. Sally and Ivy worked fast, stripping him down and laying him on the bed. They rubbed oil into his chest, his thighs. He barely spoke, just let it happen. Then came the knock. Serge opened the door and there stood Alina, heels clicking against the hallway floor. Her eyes immediately fell on the scene, her boyfriend, naked and moaning under 2 unfamiliar women. "What the hell is going on?" she demanded, voice cracking. Serge raised a brow. "A surprise, isn't it?" Alina hesitated at the door. She looked like she wanted to bolt. "I was told this would be a special night," she muttered. "Then get undressed," Serge said, arms folded. "Join the party. Don't worry, I won't touch you. I'm just here for security." Sue, still in her bra and panties, walked over to her. "We don't have all night, sweetheart. Clothes off." Alina faltered, but then she did it. Slowly, hesitantly, she peeled off her blouse, then her skirt. She stood there, half naked and unsure. Sue guided her to the bed, pressed her body against hers. Alina let it happen. Maybe she thought it was still Mark's idea. Maybe she thought if she went along, he'd love her more. The camera recorded it all, high-definition sound and video. A perfect loop of shame. At that moment, Sally and Ivy slipped out. Serge gave a small nod. Operation complete. Then came the knock on our van. It was Ina Breen, our lawyer. She leaned in and looked at the monitor. "Well," she said, smirking, "guess we know what syphilis and stupidity look like." Eva didn't laugh. She didn't even react. We waited a few more minutes. Then it was time. Eva and Ina walked to the door, shoulder to shoulder. Serge waited beside it like a sentry. When Eva stepped into the room, time froze. Her eyes didn't even blink. She let loose every curse word she'd ever known, all aimed directly at Mark. "You miserable, cheating, lying piece of shit," she screamed. "You want a side piece? How about I serve you a side of legal documents?" Mark and Alina scrambled. Alina grabbed her bra. Mark pulled the sheet over himself. "Eva, wait," he stammered. "Shut up," she cut in. "You two look so cute in HD. Smile, you're on camera." I watched from the monitor as Mark's face drained of color. "Divorce," Eva snapped. "Now, no excuses, no delay." Ina stepped forward. "I'm Ina Breen. Eva's attorney. You're going to sign the divorce decree. If you don't, we'll be sending a copy of tonight's events to your company's HR and home office." She pulled the documents from her bag and dropped them on the nightstand. Alina clutched the sheet to her chest, her voice shaking. You can't use that footage legally." Ina smirked. "We don't have to use it in court. We just have to send it to the right people." Serge, still by the door, cracked his knuckles. "No threats," Ina added casually. "Just consequences." Mark stared at the documents like they might bite him. Eva folded her arms, cold and unflinching. "You've got one choice, Mark. Sign, or I make sure you can never show your face at work again." He looked at Alina, then back at Eva, and slowly reached for the pen. And in that moment, I swear, I saw it not fear, not regret, but defeat. We had him. We had both of them. And this was only the beginning. "Wait!" Mark shouted, his voice cracking with panic. "I'll sign this, but only if I get the tape." Eva and Ina froze at the door. I watched from the van, my fists clenched, pulse pounding. Eva turned slowly, her expression blank. Then she looked at Ina, who just smirked. "You want the tape?" she said, like he'd just asked for a unicorn. Mark nodded furiously. "Yes, that's my condition." Eva didn't say a word. She walked over to the closet, opened it, and pulled out the tape, the master copy. Then she turned to Serge, who was already on alert. She handed the tape to him along with a small envelope. "After we leave," she said calmly, "and only after we're out of this room, you can give it to him. The envelope's got his little bonus, too." Serge nodded with that slow, knowing look. "Got it, boss." Ina walked back toward the bed, dropped the papers in front of Mark again, and tapped the spot where he needed to sign. "I wasn't kidding," she said. "This is irreversible. You sign this, you're done. No takebacks, no renegotiations. You get your little souvenir tape, but your marriage, that's officially over." Mark stared down at the document, like it might burn him. Alina sat silently on the bed, wrapped in a sheet, her mascara streaking down her cheeks. She looked like someone who just figured out the ending to the story was not going to go her way. "I want my own copy," Mark muttered. "You'll get it," Ina said flatly. "You'll get the decree, your copy of the tape, and all the joint credit cards she'll never use again, everything wrapped in a neat little bow." "And what happens if I bother her again?" he asked. Ina's eyes narrowed. "You so much as text Eva without her consent, and I'll bury you in court filings so deep your future grandchildren will need lawyers. And Serge here will make sure you don't get any smart ideas tonight." Sergei smiled, just enough to show teeth. Mark grabbed the pen and signed. No flair, no drama, just a quiet, bitter stroke of ink across the page that finalized the damage he'd caused. Eva turned her back and walked straight to the door without another glance. As she stepped into the hallway, I watched her on the monitor steady, composed, magnificent. Ina followed, tossing the signed document into her briefcase like it was just another piece of paper. Behind them, Serge handed the tape and envelope to Mark. "Congrats," he said. "You bought yourself a one-way ticket to herpes. Vil, or worse. You really know how to pick 'em." Mark didn't respond. He just sat on the edge of the bed, holding the tape like it meant something. Alina wouldn't even look at him. Outside, Eva and Ina slid into the van beside me. Eva exhaled deeply, not a sigh of relief, exactly. More like the final release after holding your breath too long. I looked at her. She looked at me. And then she kissed me. Just a short kiss. No heat, no hunger, just something simple. Solid. Real. "It's over," she said. "Not quite," Ina added. "There's still paperwork, credit transfers, bank withdrawals. But yes, the marriage is over." "And the tape?" I asked. "I made a backup," Eva said, eyes glinting. "You think I'd trust him with the only copy?" I smiled. "You're getting scary good at this." "I've had the best teacher," she replied. The van rolled off into the night, quiet at first, but I could feel it, the shift, the weight, Something had been lifted. Revenge had been served cold. And for once, it felt just warm enough. "I get the tape," Mark muttered, his voice flat but hungry, like that tape was the last shred of control he had left. Eva looked at Serge without a word. Then, with the same steady calm she'd carried through the whole ordeal, she handed him the tape. "After we're out of here," she said, "then you give it to this idiot." She added a small envelope, discreet but unmistakably thick. "Bonus, as promised." Serge nodded solemnly. "Understood." Ina turned to Mark, voice clipped, professional, and dripping with finality. "As I've said before, this document is irrevocable. You've signed it, and if you have any questions, you can contact me directly. You are not to speak to or approach Eva again under any circumstances. If you do, I will personally make sure you are arrested and prosecuted." She stepped toward the door. "Remember, Eva has 24 hours to retrieve her belongings from your apartment. After that, she won't be back. This is a no-fault divorce, but it will be legally finalized in 60 days. No delays, no revisions." Mark stared at the signed document like it might explode. Meanwhile, Alina sat frozen, her eyes red and distant, the reality sinking in like quicksand. With one last glance, Eva turned and walked out the door with Ina. Serge followed close behind. From the van, I watched as Serge finally handed over the tape and envelope. Then he turned on his heel and climbed into his car with Sally and Ivy, his girls for hire. Business was done, money earned. Mission complete. Ina and Eva climbed back into the van. I was already waiting. Eva leaned in and gave me a quick kiss, light and fast, just a flash of relief breaking through the storm. She looked so strong in that moment, so powerful. But behind her eyes, I could still see the weight of everything she'd just endured. Everyone was smiling. There was even a little laughter, but it didn't last long. "Daniel," Ina said, her tone suddenly more serious, "until the divorce is completely finalized, you two can't be seen together. We've gotten away with a lot here, the credit card activity, the hidden surveillance, the pressure tactics, but the legal system only stretches so far." Eva pulled back slightly, her smile fading. "You have to stay apart," Ina continued. "For now. I know you hate it, but trust me, it's necessary. We need everything to look clean." She glanced at me. "That's why I let Mark keep his pension fund. The banks will chase him, not Eva, if anything goes sideways. Her name is clean, just the $88,000, and that'll be picked up tomorrow. I suggest you leave it all in your name for now, Daniel. Safer that way." I nodded, jaw tight. "After the divorce is final," Ina said, "then you two can do whatever you want. Live together, sleep together, move to Hawaii. I don't care. But until then, keep your distance. And Daniel." "Yeah?" "You told me your firm wanted you to relocate temporarily to open a new brokerage office in another state." I nodded again. "Take the job. Go. Let this breathe. Let Eva finish the process quietly. I'll keep an eye on her." She glanced at Eva, who was now silently wiping away tears. "I hate to say it," Ina added, "but right now, you are the biggest risk to Eva's clean exit, and I know you love her. So be smart. Do what's right." I didn't say anything. I just reached out and held Eva's hand. She turned toward me, eyes glistening. "I'll wait," I whispered. She nodded. "I'll come find you when it's over." Sally and Eva got out of the van, leaving me alone in the parking lot. I sat there for a long moment, staring at the motel. They had hired a moving truck earlier that day. Eva went back to the apartment to pack up whatever she wanted. She didn't take everything, just the things that mattered. Closure in cardboard boxes. Ina promised I could call if I needed to check on her. She said she'd keep me in the loop. Said Eva would be okay. After they left, I walked back to the room and gathered the cameras, 2 of them, 2 recorders. Always back up your evidence. It still amazes me how no one ever stops to wonder if there's a second copy. I powered everything down, packed the gear into a duffel bag, and headed home. I wasn't smiling anymore. But I wasn't angry either. I was just tired, but hopeful. For the first time in a year, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I was finally free. I was really happy for Eva and really, truly sad for myself. She got her revenge, her dignity, her freedom. And me? I was the guy left standing in the wreckage with no one to hold on to. The next day, I went into the office and talked to my boss about the temporary assignment in Chicago. I was scheduled to fly out that Friday. It felt like the right move, not just for the job, but for my own sanity. Distance was what everyone said I needed. Maybe they were right. Still, I couldn't stop thinking about her. Eva had been a whirlwind of strength, fire, and grace. She deserved peace. She deserved a clean break, and I had become the one thing threatening that. So I left. When I landed in Chicago, I buried myself in work. The new brokerage office needed everything: staff, systems, structure. We were starting from scratch. I poured every ounce of focus into it. If I wasn't at my desk, I was back at my corporate apartment, sitting alone and sulking, thinking about Eva. The first 2 weeks were the worst. Every day I found myself wondering, is she okay? Has she moved on? Did she forget about me? Eventually, I gave in and called Inna. She was glad to hear from me, said things were moving along as expected. Apparently, Mark, being Mark, had hired a lawyer and tried to contest the divorce, claimed Eva had set him up, said the entire thing was a trap. But when it came time to present proof, he had nothing. No evidence, no defense, just bluster. Inna told him flatly that if he didn't back off, she'd sue him for defamation, said she was sick of hearing him whine. And, she added with a dry chuckle, karma caught up with him. Both he and Alina tested positive for syphilis. They're currently being treated and advised not to touch each other until they're fully cleared up. I actually laughed out loud. Finally, a real consequence. Not just emotional wreckage, but something they couldn't hide from. Then Inna told me about Eva. She moved into a nice apartment near her job, she said. Took about half her stuff. Set up a quiet life. She's doing fine. That gave me some relief. But then Inna added, she's not allowed to mention you. We had to keep your name out of everything. For legal safety, you know. The less anyone connects you to, the cleaner this stays. Is she seeing anyone? I asked, my voice quieter than I intended. No, Inna said, but it's only been a couple weeks. Give her time. When I talked to her privately, she said she misses you. That hit me in the gut. She said you're one of the best men she's ever met, Inna added. And yeah, I think she meant it. I thanked her and hung up. I wish I could say time flew by in Chicago, that I was so busy I forgot about everything. But that's not how it worked. Work kept me going, sure, but it didn't heal anything. I'd see couples walking together, laughing in the cold, lights twinkling on Michigan Avenue, and I'd feel nothing but the sting of absence. Because everything I wanted, everything I was starting to believe in again, was 500 miles away. Over Thanksgiving, I went home to Michigan to see my parents. I needed the comfort, the familiarity. I took my sister Christmas shopping, helped my dad with the tree, bought gifts for everyone in the family. But none of it could shake the one thought I carried everywhere: I hope Eva's okay. One afternoon, I walked into a jewelry store and bought an engagement ring. Not because I had a plan, not because she'd promised anything, but because hope. That's all I had left. Hope that one day she'd say yes. After the holiday, I headed back to Chicago, figuring I'd be there until the end of the year. Work was still going strong. Clients were flowing in, eager to invest before the books closed on the 31st of December. My team and I were thriving. On paper, everything looked perfect. But in my heart, I was still cold, still waiting. Finally, 2 days before Christmas, I flew back to Ohio. As soon as I got to my apartment, I picked up the phone and called Inna. She answered right away. Well, well, she said. Look who finally decided to come back. I laughed. You holding up okay? Busy as hell, But yeah, and you? Work went great, I said. The firm's up and running. That's good to hear, she said, because I've got some news for you. I held my breath. The divorce was finalized, she said, 2 days ago. I closed my eyes and whispered, thank God. I asked Ina if she could give me Eva's number. Just a phone number, that's all I needed. But she shook her head on the other end of the line. I can't do that, Daniel. I'm still her legal representative until the cooling off period ends. But I can call her and let her know you're back in town. I thanked her. She wished me good luck. But as I hung up the phone, I wasn't quite sure how I should feel. Eva was officially divorced now. Free. But what had she been thinking these last few months? Had she moved on? Was I just a chapter in a revenge story she was ready to close? I couldn't sit still. I had one of those ideas that feels impulsive, but somehow still right. I'd go to the restaurant where we used to have lunch. Our place. Maybe, just maybe, she'd be there. I got dressed, drove over, and sat down at our old table. Every part of me was hoping she'd walk in like nothing had changed, like we were still in the middle of our story. Instead, I saw someone else. I recognized Marcia, one of her office friends. She waved when she saw me, surprised but clearly happy. I motioned her over. She sat down with a bright smile. Daniel, it's been a while. I heard you opened a new agency in Chicago. That's amazing. We talked casually at first. Holidays, family, business. It all felt strangely normal until I finally asked the only question that mattered. Is Eva still working at the company? Marcia nodded. Yeah, she is. But she and her husband recently divorced. She paused, then added, it all happened pretty fast. She didn't really talk about it much. That stung. I had hoped we were more than something she wanted to forget. She's not doing great, Marcia continued gently. She works a lot, refuses to date, keeps her head down. We all feel bad for her. She's such a great person. We just want her to be happy. I swallowed hard. Yeah, she deserves better. Marcia nodded. Definitely. No one deserves what she went through. I asked if Eva was working that day. She was, Marcia said. But she got a phone call about an hour ago and left early. Said she needed the rest of the day off. She won't be back until after Christmas. I thanked her, wished her a Merry Christmas, and headed home, trying to keep my disappointment from swallowing me whole. No messages. Nothing on my answering machine. The silence in my apartment was deafening. And just as I started slipping into that familiar place of hopelessness, the phone rang. I jumped out of my chair like it had exploded. Eva? My heart raced. I picked up, but it was another damn telemarketer. I hung up so hard the phone shook on the table. I just stared at it, thinking, she'll call. She has to call. She knows I'm back. Then I reminded myself she didn't need to. She didn't owe me anything. But still, I waited. I told myself maybe she'd reach out about her investment account. She had every reason to, professionally. But then I remembered my team back at the firm. Any one of them could have handled her file. It didn't have to be me. I tried calling the office just to see if any activity had come through on her account, but it was already 5:12 p.m. and the office had officially shut down for the holiday weekend. Damn it. I was stuck. No info, no access, no clarity. Just me and a long weekend of not knowing whether the best thing that had ever happened to me was gone for good. I paced the room like a caged animal. Couldn't think straight. Couldn't focus. Had I lost her? Was that it? Then another ring. I lunged. Ina, I said, breathless. She laughed gently on the other end. You sound like you've been waiting by the phone. Yeah, I have. I just wanted to let you know I spoke to Eva, she said. And yes, she knows you're back. That alone nearly made me sit down. And also, she continued, everything is finalized. All motions dismissed. Mark tried to fight it, but failed. In fact, he had to cash out more than half his retirement just to cover the damage he caused. I exhaled. Finally, some justice. I owe you, I said. No, she replied. You owe Eva. And yourself. She paused. She hasn't forgotten you, Daniel. That's all I'll say. The line went quiet, and I stood in the stillness, just hoping the next ring would be her. I'm ready, I said, setting down my beer, my stomach suddenly doing that jittery teenage flip. But let me rewind a few minutes because the moment she showed up at my door is something I'll remember forever. Right after I got off the phone with Inna, I heard a knock. For a split second, I thought, no way, not her. It's probably the neighbor or another telemarketer. I opened the door. It was Mary, my sweet old neighbor, the woman who'd been picking up my mail and cleaning my apartment while I was out of state. She was bundled in a thick Christmas sweater and holding a tray of homemade cookies. Hey, stranger, she said, smiling. Welcome home. I invited her in for a few minutes. She was one of those people who made everything feel lighter just by being there. She handed me my mail and told me to enjoy the holidays. Wait, I said, walking into the next room. I pulled out an envelope from the drawer, 3 crisp $100 bills I had set aside just for her. Merry Christmas, Mary. Her eyes welled up. You didn't have to. I know. That's why I did. She laughed, thanked me, and left. And for a second, the apartment felt less like a cave and more like home. But I was still alone, hungry, and restless. I picked up the phone and ordered pizza. Nothing fancy, just the usual. Pepperoni, extra cheese, and a 12-pack of Miller Lite. I asked the delivery guy if he could swing by the grocery store for the beer, one of the perks of living in a small town where everyone knows you by name. Then I flopped down on the couch, flipped on the news, and waited. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang. I opened it. It wasn't the pizza guy. It was Eva. Her hair was slightly windblown from the cold, her cheeks pink, her eyes glowing, and that damn smile on her face nearly knocked the wind out of me. I just stared at her, stunned. I thought you were the pizza delivery guy, I said, barely holding it together. She grinned. Sorry to disappoint. No pizza, just me. I didn't even think I reached out, pulled her inside, and hugged her so tightly I could feel her heartbeat against my chest. She melted into me like we'd never been apart. God, I missed you, I whispered. Eva, you feel like home. She looked up at me, eyes glossy. I missed you too. So damn much. Just as she was about to speak again, ding-dong, the doorbell rang a second time. This time, it was actually the pizza guy. I gave him cash, took the food and beer, and shut the door behind me, trying not to laugh at the absurd timing of it all. Turning back to Eva, I held up the box and 6-pack like a trophy. You hungry? Because I've got revenge pizza and victory beer. She chuckled. You're still a ridiculous human being. I try. We sat down, grabbed paper plates, and started eating. We kept the conversation light. She told me about work, how she was doing better, slowly rebuilding. I told her about the new agency in Chicago and how we'd actually done way better than expected. We avoided talking about the past few months too much. We didn't need to, not yet. After a few slices and a couple of beers, she put down her plate and looked at me, more serious now. I need to tell you a few things before I lose my nerve, she said. Go ahead, I said gently. She inhaled deeply. First off, I'm officially divorced. It's done. Finalized. No more ties to him. I'm free. My chest tightened. Second, she continued, I found out you were back when Sally called. I left work early, went shopping, and I got you something. A gift? She nodded. Let's just say it's a different kind of present. I didn't want to leave a message or send a text. I wanted to see you. Really see you. I swallowed. Eva. She smiled again, that same heart-melting smile that had wrecked me from the beginning. I figured if you were the kind of guy to buy me dinner and revenge, you deserved a little something in return. I laughed, my voice a little shaky. So, this present, do I get to open it now? She leaned back, eyes sparkling. Are you ready for your kind of gift now? I smiled and said, yes. Where is it? Eva grinned, held up a small bag about the size of a lunchbox and winked. Be right back. She disappeared down the hallway, leaving me standing there in the soft glow of the kitchen lights, heart thudding like I was about to open a mystery that had been waiting for over a year. While she was gone, I walked over to the drawer by the counter, the one where I'd kept the ring, the one I bought the day I realized I never wanted to lose her. I took it out, turned it over in my hand once, and slid it into my pocket. Then I heard her voice from the bedroom. Are you ready? I shouted back, I think so. She stepped into the doorway, and I swear the world stopped spinning. She stood there confident, radiant, hers in a lacy red silk bra and matching red silk bikini panties. A tiny red bow was tied into her hair like a ribbon on the greatest gift I'd ever received. I'm not married anymore, she said softly, and I'll never cheat on a man who loves me. If you want your present, you can come unwrap it. Tears filled my eyes before I could stop them. There she was, the woman I'd waited for, fought for, burned for, standing in front of me, offering not just her body, but her whole heart, her trust, her future. I stepped closer and whispered, only on one condition. She tilted her head, that little smile playing at her lips. What's that? I reached into my pocket, pulled out the ring box, and flipped it open. The diamond caught the light just enough to sparkle. If you'll marry me. Eva gasped. Her hands flew to her mouth as tears welled in her eyes. Then she dropped them, rushed into my arms, and wrapped herself around me like she never wanted to let go. Yes, she cried. Yes, Daniel, I will marry you. Yes, yes, yes. I held her tight, overwhelmed with everything, joy, relief, love, redemption. Then I picked her up, carried her to the bedroom, and laid her gently on the bed. She was everything I'd imagined and more beautiful, vulnerable, strong, glowing. Just her. I stripped down to my boxers, nerves buzzing. This was our first time. It had to be right. And it was. I took my time, kissed her neck, her shoulders, the space between her collarbones. I traced every part of her like she was something sacred. She raised her arms above her head, breathing soft and deep. She smelled like heaven light, floral, intoxicating. White diamonds, she murmured when I asked. The scent clung to my skin like a memory I'd never want to forget. I unclasped her bra slowly, inhaling the silk before setting it aside. My hands slid down her flat stomach, and she gasped lightly with every touch. Her body moved with mine, electric with anticipation. I could feel her heat, her heartbeat, her trembling. No words, just a soft moan, the kind that says this is real, this is right. When I finally finished unwrapping my gift, we made love slow, unhurried, like we had all the time in the world. When it was over, she curled into me, chest to chest, and whispered, Daniel, I love you so much. I didn't say a word. I just held her, because saying it felt too small. Eventually, we fell asleep. When I woke up, the house was completely dark. The only sound was our breathing. It had been a long time, too long, since I'd woken up with someone I wanted beside me. I got up to use the bathroom. When I came out, she was already up, wearing one of my oversized t-shirts, hair messy, glowing in that way women do when they feel loved and safe. She looked perfect. She'd showered, freshened up. I stuffed the leftover pizza into the fridge because, yes, it tastes better reheated the next day, and we sat at the counter again, eating and smiling like we were already married. So, I asked, halfway through a slice, when do you want to get married? She didn't hesitate. As soon as possible. I don't want to wait. By then, the clock had just hit 10 p.m. And suddenly, Christmas felt like more than just a date on the calendar. It felt like a second chance. I called Ina Breen at home, and she answered almost immediately. What's wrong, Daniel? She said, clearly checking her caller ID. Is everything okay? Well, kind of, I said. Eva and I have a bit of a situation, and I figured since you're You know, a miracle-working lawyer. What is it? She said, voice sharp with curiosity. You know I'll help if I can. Eva and I, we want to get married. Like, immediately. But tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and we need a judge. There was a pause on the line, and then Ina burst out laughing. Oh my God, she called you, didn't she? Guilty. I'm so happy for both of you, she said warmly. Meet me at the courthouse first thing in the morning. We'll get your marriage license, then come to my house. She paused, then added casually, Did I mention my husband's a judge? I blinked. You're serious? Dead serious. He'll marry you. Be there at 9 a.m. sharp. The next morning, Eva looked absolutely stunning, elegant, glowing, calm in that quiet, beautiful way that only comes from peace after chaos. I wore my best suit, the one I usually reserved for closing deals or funerals. Today, it felt like both the end of one life, the start of another. We met Ina in the courthouse lobby, signed the paperwork, and left with our marriage license in hand. From there, we headed to Ina's house, a cozy place with warm wood floors, tall windows, and holiday decorations scattered in just the right measure between classy and cheerful. Her husband, Judge Breen, was surprisingly down to earth. He wore a soft gray sweater instead of a robe and smiled like he'd been waiting to marry someone all week. Are you sure about this? He asked Eva as a formality. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, she replied. The ceremony was short, simple, perfect. Afterward, we all had coffee and cookies in their kitchen, laughing like old friends. It felt like a movie, but one of the good ones, the kind you don't want to end. Eva didn't have many close relatives left, just a few scattered around the country, none of whom she was close with anymore. So we packed our bags and drove straight to Michigan to surprise my family. And wow, to say they were thrilled would be the understatement of the year. They adored Eva. My mom couldn't stop hugging her. My sister cried. My dad shook my hand twice and said, You did good, son. It was one of those surreal moments where every scar, every fight, every lonely night had somehow led to this to her. Christmas turned out to be better than good. It was incredible. After the holidays, we drove back home. We both had jobs to return to, but life felt different now. Fuller, lighter. We decided Eva would move into my apartment. She still had a month left on her lease, but we started packing up her things after work each day. It wasn't a chore, it was actually fun. We were building a life, together, from scratch. The women at her office noticed the change immediately. The old Eva's back, one of them said. Even Marcia, who had always been kind of skeptical about me, was shocked when she found out I was the new husband. She clearly remembered the hardened, bitter guy I used to be. I heard Eva tell her once, Don't worry, Marcia. He's a total puppy now. I just had to tame him. New Year's Eve was fast approaching, and with it, the biggest party in town, a formal gala attended by pretty much every successful business person in the area. I looked at Eva one night while we were unpacking her last box of kitchen stuff. Honey, what do you think? I asked. Should we go to the party of the year, show everyone we made it? She paused, looked at me with that gleam in her eye, and said, Daniel, I love you with all my heart, and I want everyone to know it. Yes, let's go to the damn party, husband. And so, we did. And Eva? She looked unreal. She wore a deep red blouse that perfectly matched her lace bra, and yeah, I knew, because I helped pick it out. Her black miniskirt clung to her just right, with a slit high enough to show off her legs, but low enough to still play innocent. She had this confidence to her now, not forced, not flashy. Just pure, radiant Eva. Everyone wanted us at their table, my boss, her coworkers, even a few people who used to whisper about our pasts. Now, they couldn't stop smiling at us. Eva had become the kind of woman people wanted to orbit not because of what she looked like, but because of what she was. And me? I was just proud to be the guy standing next to her. Little did we know, the night wasn't done surprising us yet. Sally and Judge Breen had reserved a table near the front, close to the band, and when they waved us over, Eva and I happily joined them. I looked at Sally as we took our seats. "I've never seen a lawyer look this good," I said with a grin. And I wasn't lying. She looked incredible. Confident, elegant, the kind of woman who turned heads without trying. She laughed. "Must be the company I keep." We were introduced to the rest of the group, mostly judges and their spouses, surprisingly down to earth, full of laughter and stories about legal bloopers and courtroom drama. The music was loud, the champagne was flowing, and the energy in the room was pure New Year's Eve magic. Eva and I danced every slow song that played. Other men tried to cut in who could blame them, but she always shook her head politely and said, "Not this year. I'm only dancing with my husband." And God, hearing her say that my husband made something inside me melt. The only exceptions we allowed. I danced one song with Sally, and Eva danced one with Judge Breen. They'd become real friends, the kind you keep in your life for good. Toward the end of one of our dances, as we swayed near the edge of the floor, we found ourselves nearly bumping into someone I hadn't seen in months. Nadia, Alina's sister, and her husband, Bob. "Oh my God," she gasped, blinking like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. "Daniel?" I turned and smiled. "Good evening, Nadia. Happy New Year to you." Then, with deliberate warmth, I said, "I'd like to introduce you to my wife. Eva, this is Nadia. And her husband, I assume?" Bob extended a hand. "Bob," he said with a tight smile. Eva gave him her signature confident smile and shook his hand. "Nice to meet you, Bob." And Nadia. Then she tilted her head, eyes playful. "Didn't we meet before at Robson's restaurant off 40 Old Route? Couple months ago?" Bob blinked, caught off guard. "No, that place is way out of our budget." Nadia went pale. "It was nice seeing you both," she said quickly. "We should get back to our table." They scurried off, and Eva and I exchanged a quiet laugh. We both knew where she was going, straight back to spill the news to Jim and Alina. Sure enough, we looked over and spotted them. Alina tossed back her drink the moment Nadia leaned in. Jim nearly fell off his chair trying to get a look at us. We watched their faces morph from disbelief to horror as reality sank in. "Rachel," Jim hissed. "He's here. He's with your ex-sister-in-law." Alina's eyes widened. "Daniel said he'd get even with us one day." Jim shook his head. "Maybe we could take them back to court." Nadia cut him off, laughing bitterly. "You two are unbelievable. Do you even see who they're sitting with? That's Ina Breen, and half a dozen judges. You think you can outplay them?" Then she looked straight at Jim and added, "And Daniel? He could kick your ass so hard, you'd taste floor wax." Jim didn't say anything after that. It was past midnight when the party started to wind down. Ina and Judge Breen hugged us goodbye, congratulated us again, and left with their table. Eva and I danced one last time before heading to a booth in the back, close enough to keep an eye on the mess across the room. She excused herself to the restroom. When she returned, she walked slowly toward me, her smile somewhere between mischievous and wicked. I noticed her hands adjusting something as she approached. She sat beside me, leaned in close, and whispered, "Are you ready?" I blinked. "Ready for what?" She smiled wider, her voice soft and hot against my ear. "Your revenge." Then, without another word, she reached into her purse, pulled out a small silk bundle, and tucked it neatly into my breast pocket red lace panties, folded like a handkerchief. My breath caught. She kissed me, slowly, deliberately, and then, loud enough for the table across from us to hear, she said, "Happy New Year, darling. Who says revenge isn't sweet?" I looked across the room and sure enough, Jim and Alina had seen everything. Their faces were pure rage, disbelief, and humiliation. And me? I just smiled and whispered back, "Happy New Year, my love." Because no revenge had ever felt this perfect, and no ending had ever felt so deserved.